Yeah. Lame.
Ha.
MySpace lame. Ain't lame. Facebook lame. Spoken lame. Chillin' lame. Even Twitter lame?
Why this nigga say my name? Don't know that he a lame. I treat him like the rest of them. I treat him just the same. He the type of nigga that will try to feed to smoke, but when it come to bread, that he always broke
This
ass. This a nigga that really thought he had a friend, but when he waved at me, I just looked past him. This nigga always blowing up my phone, and then he gets mad when he gets the fucking tone.
Lame.
No, he don't even have a motherfucking clue, and I laugh at this nigga's not April Fool.
No April 1st.
This nigga brag, but he got bread? Hold on, nigga, I forgot what you said.
What?
This nigga chill that when I chill with my dudes, and he on my phone like boo fucking cool.
Wipe your tears.
How motherfucking lame is the trending topic, and if you not with it, then you might as well block it.
Block it. Lame.
Lames all day.
You got Twitter lame.
All of them.
Writing subs all day. Remember MySpace lame? That was 08 lame.
Yeah. We
2010
thought that was bum
lame.
video.
Come on. Step your weight up. Come
Get
on.
ready to holla at us.
Niggas need weight on their bones.
Yeah, right.
Come on, man.
We off this.